Donald Jeffries.
Donald Jeffries.
Author of Hidden History and Survival of the Richest. Host of The Donald Jeffries Show. Billy Ray Valentine.
Billy Ray Valentine.
Host of the Infinite Fringe podcast. Researcher, truth seeker from the Bronx, New York. Tony Arterburn.
Tony Arterburn.
Radio host, combat veteran, precious metals analyst, and alt historian. Together, they take on the headlines of the week, decode the disinformation, and plow through the mainstream propaganda. Unauthorized, unscripted, and unintimidated.
Unintimidated.
This is America Unplugged.
What is going on? How's everybody doing? This is America Unplugged, the War on Reality report. My name is Billy Ray Valentine, and I'm joined here by the usual suspects, Mr. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves. What is going on?
Well, I'm having some coffee, watching the financial system meltdown, watching this fourth turning unravel. How's things going on your end?
Christy Nome was here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she came
Did
from
she
the Bronx.
pose? Did she get some MS-13 guys to do a human pyramid behind her? So she...
Probably. You know? I got the hell out of Dodge. Just like, you know what?
Oh, yeah. You got to run. You see Christy Nome? Yeah, I see.
Run.
I get it.
Man, let me tell you. Don Jeffries, the legendary. How are you, sir? What's going on?
Good, hanging and trying to stay, cool amidst the madness and wondering what's going to happen next. Waiting for the next act of the Trumpenstein project because we got over 3 years left to go, boys.
Oh my God!
So I don't know what they have planned, but I think it's anything good.
Can I start off with something? Tony is going to get into the financial situation worldwide. Silver hit all-time highs, if I'm not mistaken. Tone, correct me if I'm wrong. So I want to throw it to Tone in a second, but I do want to say something before it slips my mind, and I didn't tell you guys off air because I didn't remember. But I wanna put something out there in the ether, and I've been not out there in the ether. I want to put it out there to you guys so you guys can be warned about this. And I've said this before, but what's going on? There's a lot of back and forth. Like, first off, I don't think this is an issue of right and left. Right? I think we've left that reservation. I think we're in a totally other place, right? But people that are still looking at it that way are saying, well, Trump is doing all of this and it's paving the way for when the left gets in, that they're going to do it to you too. And while that is a possibility, I think that we really, really need to start taking seriously that these people don't intend to leave. It sounds crazy to some. They already tried it once. Okay. I don't know what will happen in 2026 if we're even going to have elections. And if we have elections, a lot of you already think these elections are rigged anyway. Well, they may very well be at this point. But when 2028 comes around, if you think these people are going to let go of power just like that, you got another thing coming. I don't think they ever intend on giving this up. There's talk of martial law openly in the mainstream now. And we talked about this last week on my show. But in the mainstream, there's talk of martial law. This is stuff we only used to talk about here in the alternative. Alex Jones used to talk about martial law for forever and ever and ever and ever. And now it's happening, and mum's the word with him. He has nothing to say about it, only good things. I love martial law. Martial law is fantastic, is what you get out of InfoWars now. We can't rule out, and Trump already flirted with the idea when he was talking to Bukele, I think it was Bukele that he was talking about, that he was talking with. Who was he talking with? I forget. But he was in the Oval Office and he was saying, it was Zelensky, I think. All that has to happen is I have to declare an emergency and I have to be in a war and we suspend elections. And he was being tongue in cheek. He was being funny. Trump was. But you know how that goes. We really need to start taking this seriously. There's Trump 2028. hats and merchandise being made. And of course, that's just for you to buy. It's a grift. But Steve Bannon is dead serious about it. And Steve Bannon is the architect. Go look at Steve Bannon, how many times he said that Trump 2028 is a thing, that he will run again and he will win. And then he's been pressed on it by people like Bill Maher or Chris Cuomo. And he's like, we are working on it. We have a team. We're going to figure this out by hook or by crook. Okay, so for those of you that are still looking at this, and I got to get myself out of that also and stop using that verbiage, because sometimes I use but the left and the right and the left and the right. And in some situations it's warranted. But I think we're done with that at this point. You know, the left and the right need to come together against whatever we're facing with MAGA. In my opinion, I think that's what we need to do. But they are looking to stay. They're not looking to leave. So for those of you that are saying, well, maybe, you know, when the left gets in, you know, they're going to do it to us. Yeah, it's possible if the left gets in, yeah, they could do it to you. But I don't think they're doing all of this. While Trump is a buffoon, Stephen Miller is not, and he's a very hateful person. I think they're doing all of this and saying, you know what, we're never giving it back. So they're never going to have the option to use that. The left is never getting back in, or no one is ever getting back in. It's going to be us. That's what I think is happening here. And I think it's worth putting out there to talk to the America Unplugged audience that may not necessarily listen to my show, you know, but we'll cover it again on Sunday night. All right, Tony. You can comment on that if you wish, or we can get right into the financial situation. What's up, buddy?
Well, it bleeds together, and you may be right. Both scenarios are bad. On my show Thursday, I talked about, is this all just setting precedents? I mean, like David Knight calls Trump precedent Trump, because there's precedents being set that would have never happened or had major resistance under a Biden administration or a Clinton administration or an Obama administration, because of the concentration of federal power, more federal power in the hands of the executive into these states, which a lot of these states have atrophy. They have muscle atrophy when it comes to asserting their rights or their powers, because of federal money and all the interference with federal agencies that happened over the years. And most of the politicians are just mannequins, or just, placeholders for, federal agencies at this point. So all of this is a big shock that's happening when you're right to call out the centralization of power and things that are happening in the executive branch, and the using other states' National Guard resources to go to that's never happened to my knowledge. And it's more of these things that probing the perimeter to see what can happen. And my assessment is that it's happening so that, because I think all of this is an anomaly. I think there's a stand down order. The Democrats really should have won in 2024 just because of demographics. I've been saying that for a long time, and the Trump campaign wasn't good. I mean, it wasn't inspirational. It had nowhere near the same kind of framing that it did in 2016. So, I wasn't necessarily surprised that there was this selection process in 24 the way it happened, because of the way that the left handled the election. And I mean, it was like, you have to on purpose be this bad. And, I just think it's something about a setup, because we're inside the Great Reset. So a lot of this stuff is orchestrated. I don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be, but I do know that a lot of this stuff is planned. It's a psychological, spiritual warfare that's happening. And at the same time, in the periphery, the stuff that I notice is massive changes happening while we're watching. We're definitely have to have our eyes multiple places at the same time, because all these things are happening at once. So you see, the centralization of power and stuff that you're mentioning, Billy. And then you also look at the international scope of the monetary system, and I go, holy shit. I mean, stuff that is happening in my business I've never seen before, and we're in uncharted territory. I think a lot and it's funny because people, how you doing? How's the precious metals business? I think a lot of people in the precious metals business are going to go out of business. And they're going to go out of business because these price fluctuations and whipsaws are so bad that, and I have, some internal information on stuff that's happening with some of the bigger platforms. The monetary system is shaking. I just read today, right before we went live, that more central banks around the world hold gold than U.S. Treasuries for the first time. So all that's shifting away from the dollar. The vacuum that creates, the space that creates, it's got to be filled by something. And I think it's going to be filled by chaos, because we're looking for a war. We look at what's happening with Venezuela. Venezuela is a prime target. And I looked and I actually saw that it was related. The hemispheric energy resources are related to the Wolfowitz Memorandum and Wolfowitz Doctrine of 1992. These are all preparations made before some sort of kinetic conflict. And then you add the cherry on top of last week, which is Trump putting, just ridiculous, by the way, one of the stupidest things since the Iraq War, we're putting 100% tariffs on China. This
is on top of the other tariffs. Like, what is this? Is it 200% freaking tariffs now? Like, what?
China has, by the way, China has massive tariffs, but they just took our old playbook. We used to have the same kind of tariffs that China has back at the beginning of the 20th century. They just took our old playbook, but we reversed course and did all this. This isn't about economic nationalism. This is warfare. This is another type of warfare. This is language. It's being used. And of course you have currency wars, trade wars, and then actual wars. These are this is the succession of things. So you're right. Perhaps both scenarios are bad. A lot of things are happening for the first time. We don't know. Is there a possibility that Trump doesn't leave office? I don't know. But all these scenarios are bad if we're being prime. But I think MAGA, if there's still the remnants of that, if they think this is about left right, are going to be sorely mistaken, and cheering these things on are going to have some massive blowback.
Yeah, man. I agree, bro. I agree. Somebody in the chat said that Trump may not be on the planet at that point. And there's a lot of, I want to say at this point, left-wing conspiracy theories going around about Trump's health. I don't think Trump is very healthy, but there's no proof, right? Whatever just came out says that he's great, that he's freaking a 15-year-old right now, So, I mean, there's that, right? But there's a lot of people predicting his demise. I got to see it to believe it, man. I mean, I can believe the dementia stuff, but he's running around like no problem, in my opinion. He looks like he has all the energy in the world, So, but people are saying he's going to die. He's an older gentleman. He may pass, right? God forbid, So I don't know what happens if he does pass, but we still have J.D. Vance, and that's the heir apparent. Peter Thiel put him in power. This is admitted, right? Peter Thiel did this, right? He is the reason why J.D. Vance is the vice president of the United States. So we still have to deal with that, and he's not leaving either. I will give you this. I think there's a bigger possibility of J.D. Vance stepping down than if Trump is still alive. If Trump is still alive, I think we have problems, regardless of that. I'm coming to Don, and then we're going back to Tony about this financial situation. What's up, Don?
Yeah, I think, well, what you were saying, Billy Ray, I go back a lot farther. Many of you watching the show were little takes, when I were maybe not even born yet when I was first into this stuff. And we've had this talk at least going back to Clinton, if maybe even Reagan, about there's not going to be an election. This is the last election. Whoever the president is can suspend the election. We've talked of martial law. We've heard it. I've heard it so many times where it used to be, part of the rhetoric of the conspiracy world back then. You didn't have an internet. You had these newsletters, and you had the Spotlight newspaper, and they talked about this stuff all the time. Especially when Rex 84 came during the Reagan years. They're going to put us all in FEMA camps. So I've heard so many of these things, and ultimately nothing seems to help. Things get worse. Like Australian Ben, great to see him in the chat room. Freely speaking, he's talking about the housing crisis in Australia, which is just as bad, if not worse, than here, where the average person can't afford anything. Those are the things I think, and that's why they don't concentrate on that. You're constantly getting distracted by stuff. Martial law is no big deal anymore ever since we declared it during the Boston bombing. Remember, they shut down Boston, and the citizens couldn't have been happier. It was a test run. They were cheering and applauding, and then they went after the Boston bomber, who wasn't the Boston bomber, the surviving brother, and they couldn't even find him until the citizens were paying. He's hiding in a boat. They had destroyed the whole city. So we saw the tanks rolling through the streets. We saw people in this video is probably still out there ordering the people back inside, and Americans passed with flying colors. And then, of course, during the COVID thing, obviously we passed whatever. I mean, that might as well have been martial law. Everything was closed. You had ridiculous orders based on nothing, based on, basically the king standing out somebody with this bugle saying, hear ye, this is a new mandate, a new decree, based on nothing. And the American society shut down. So we passed with flying colors. I don't know what is going on with Trump 2.0 because he started out completely different. This second administration looked like, hey, he's going to finally maybe come through with some of the rhetoric, whatever it was. Something happened. He took a really dark turn in his character with the Epstein list thing. And that video, you can almost trace it back to then when he suddenly went, ballistic on the guy saying, hey, Epstein, you can't ask me about Epstein. Epstein's, he's dead. And ever since then, the Trump character, which I think is a character, it's very much like Billy Ray, you're familiar with wrestling, obviously. It's very much like during Trump's first administration, he was the guy getting beat up all the time, constantly. You have the wrestling, you have it ebb and flow, and then suddenly the guy looks like he's almost dead. They've had 10 different 2.5 counts. Suddenly he gets an energy from somewhere and throws the person off, and then the momentum shifts. That's what seems to have happened here. Is Trump is now, this dark Trump is got the momentum. The left is suddenly kind of scared of him. The same left that threatened him all the time and had jokes about him constantly. Now they seem a little fearful, and it doesn't make any sense to me. As Tony said about the election, the left's reaction made no sense. They really didn't protest much. And as he said, the demographics, I didn't think Trump had any chance at all winning any real election because the demographics are what they are, and they're not in his favor. But somehow, and he won pretty convincingly, much more convincingly than anybody ever thought he would. As he said, landslide, only president ever to get, what is it they keep bragging about? Is that's a MAGA accomplishment that he took all the swing states. We're supposed to be satisfied. Oh, great, cool. Trump won all the swing states. That's cool. We don't need an infrastructure. Keep the troops in 150 different countries. That's fine. Don't do anything else. And please don't release the Epstein files. So it's been. I don't pretend to know what's going on now, and I don't know. Somebody said you mentioned about Trump's health. That was the big story. Maybe 2-3 weeks ago. These things go. They go quickly. Now we're kind of still in the Charlie Kirk mold. That'll fade away. Something else will be distracted. Nothing ever gets resolved. Trump was like Jeff Rentz. All these people starting. You look at his hand. He has makeup on it, and his legs are bloated, and some female leader went to pat him on the back and accidentally touched his diaper, and they're wrinkling up his nose because he smells so bad, and he's wearing a catheter. All these things, who knows? I don't. He seems to get around pretty good for somebody with all that going on.
Right.
But he is 79 years old, and so any of this could happen, obviously, unless he's been given the Henry Kissinger drug that allowed him to be obese and live to be over 100. Till he's just went off the stage. So maybe he's got the secret longevity drug because he does seem amazing to be overweight at that age and still be able to have a real spring in his step. And so I don't know what it is, but he is a cartoon character, a wrestling character. I think we're at the level where Trump has now got the momentum. He's throwing the opponent around the ring, the guy that were beating up on him, and maybe he's got a foreign object in the ring. I don't know what's going on, but all I know is whatever happens, it won't be good for Americans. You're not going to get the $5,000 Doge check. You're not going to hear any more about Doge. They're not going to do anything about whatever fraud is in government. They're not going to touch the infrastructure. Obviously, it is what it is, and nobody seems everybody seems okay with that. We'll talk about that, but Qatar, where we have a foreign nation with an Air Force base or something here now, though really. How many bases do we have around the country? So I don't know why we're allowed to do it, but maybe somebody else doesn't. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that this is so far removed from what MAGA was supposed to be. The idea of we're supposed to be different and not play the same way. And there's a guy in Tennessee that I think it's in Tennessee that was he's probably a left wing guy. I don't know. Maybe he's with Antifa. I don't know. But he said something about Charlie Kirk, and they visited him. The same thing that maybe Joe Biden's Justice Department was visiting people. Well, now you got Pam Bondi's Justice Department visiting people, saying different things. And I don't know if he's actually going to go to prison, but we know they sent this guy Doug Mackey back in the day. He did go to prison, at least briefly, for floating a meme about Hillary Clinton. And that's just very dangerous. And the stuff that's happening in England, Ben can probably tell us in Australia, I think there too, where they don't have the whatever is left of our First Amendment. So they're literally going to people's homes, and police are showing up and saying, hey, what about this Facebook? I mean, somebody like me, how many times I'm going to be locked up with all the stuff I post? It's very dangerous stuff, and neither side cares. The right was caring when they were attacked. Now they're attacking the left. Exact same thing. Nobody cares about free speech. So it is what I can't give any predictions. All I know is that things will not get better. Trump is not going to. I think they're going to throw us a few crumbs, maybe. Trump might do something. I don't know what. I mean, maybe he was going to get rid of. What happened to the Department of Education, by the way? A few months ago, people were acting like it was already gone.
It is gone, Don. It's gone. It doesn't exist. Only it's the Department of Education in name only.
It's still an entity. I mean, I don't know. The people must be doing something if it exists. Does it have a budget? I mean, I don't know what really happens under this guy. You had to look and see what is actually going, because he talks so much and he says so many things, and it's all over the place. He's like a toddler with a machine gun. He's just firing wildly in every direction, and you got to try to keep up with where do all the shots go. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. That's Donald Trump. And trying to figure out and yes, he could maybe eventually drop a nuke on some country. I don't know, maybe whatever part of his character is real, but he just says so much crazy stuff. Most of it's conflicting. So I miss the first administration Trump. I liked it better when he was just, being attacked all the time and kind of a halfway sympathetic figure and just tweeting out food fights with celebrities. Now it's not fun because he's making threats, and I don't know what he might actually do. And he's lost what proper moral hand he might have ever had.
Moral hand. I don't think he ever had him. A couple of things before I throw it to Tone. Just a couple of points. So we talked about the changing demographic and how Kamala Harris should have won based on that. Clearly, that's not a thing. The evidence doesn't point to it because Donald Trump won, not Kamala Harris. We also need to look at that piece of information and what happened in 2024 and think about the greatest psychological operation ever pulled off in the history of mankind, in my opinion. When Donald Trump can go ahead and say, you send your kids to school as a boy and they come back as a little girl in 8 hours. And then he says they're eating dogs, they're eating cats, and the guy still gets elected to office. I'm like, my God, the psychological, the fifth generation warfare. And that's what I think happened. I think we should look at social media very strongly as the greatest weapon against humanity. I don't know how we resolve that. I like some of social media, but it's been weaponized and it's got us all going in very different directions. So we should re-examine the demographic argument. I don't think it fits. I don't think it works. Two, when you talk about you've been around a long time, Don, and you've seen these things happen. I've been in the conspiracy world for the better part of my life. I'm not as old as you. I'm not as wise as you either, Don. I don't even want to put it that way. Okay. You're aging very gracefully, sir. But I've seen everything that they talked about. Martial law is coming, hard martial law. And, all of these people are trying to pull it off. Clinton's going to do it. Bush's going to do it. Obama's going to take your guns. Clinton is going to take your guns. Everything. I've seen it, and it never happened. And the thing is, and this is my biggest gripe with conspiracy culture, conspiracy theories, the alt media. We've been primed for this for quite some time, right? We've been told that this stuff was going to happen. It never really did up until Donald Trump. We want to talk about martial law. We experienced soft martial law under COVID. Who was the president of the United States at that time?
Yeah, that's right.
It was Donald Trump. But now these things are actually happening. There is evidence that we can see these things actually happening. And all we do is say, well, it may not happen because it didn't happen before, and outlets like InfoWars, that was instrumental in pushing this. Bill Cooper, whom I love, right? Instrumental in pushing these things. We can talk about the influence of the Council on National Policy that John Brissom is very up on, right? They are instrumental in pushing the Christian nationalism that's taken hold right now. This has been going on for some time, and it's happening now. It's real now. Everything that we've spoken about all those years and nothing happened is actually happening now. Mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, I don't know what we're, is it happening? I don't know. It's so that's the thing. That's my biggest issue with all of this. I have a real problem with it. And this is why I've separated myself from a lot of the people I used to have on my show and a lot of the information that I used to consume, or I look at it very differently. Because we've been neutered. We are impotent as a movement. We're really not doing anything. And I think that's what was meant to happen. If anything, we are supporting the downfall. Not us here, not us listening, most likely, even though some of you listening may be in support of the downfall of America. But it's literally out of a scene out of Star Wars, when Emperor Palpatine is giving this speech and everybody's like jumping up and like, yeah, that's literally what we're seeing here. So all of these things need to be re-examined, in my opinion. Tony, what's up?
Yeah, we're inside of an X-Files episode.
Yes. Yes.
This is the final season. I agree with you. Now you can take that one or two ways. You can go into the mode of this is the end and all is lost, and you can get black-pilled or whatever you want to call it. I don't think that's necessary. I think this is a massive spiritual, psychological shift in human history, and these old institutions and other things that we've become accustomed to growing up, and again, being comfortable with them. We have normalcy bias. I have normalcy bias, even if I look at this stuff through all these different lenses. So, Nietzsche said that even the bravest among us rarely has the courage for what they already know. I think that's why a lot of people, even though they can see it, they don't want it. Like alternative media, obviously, it's been weighed in the balance and found wanting. You're exactly right. Like we're finally, like everything is happening, and the great chunk of views goes to like TikTok reels about how, is this celebrity an act? This person is also this person, and I'm like, okay, that's where people have gone instead of actual scholarship or looking at what's really going on. So I try to stick with what I can prove, or like on my show on Thursday, I'm pulling up the Wolfowitz doctrine, because we don't talk about that anymore. Going back to 1992, the leaked Pentagon document showing that, post Cold War, we're going to use the full might of the United States military and the empire to make sure that no rivals ever exist to challenge the United States. Hegemonic dominance forever, in perpetuity. So perpetual war for perpetual peace. And I find that to be shocking that people don't bring that up anymore, but we're actually doing it. And this is what NATO's about, and the expansion of NATO. And this is what our policy is about with vis-a-vis China and Taiwan. And it's about our policy in Venezuela. So that's happening right now. But if you pull up Drudge, there's some information that's good on there, there's some bad. It's a war on your mind and your war of perception.
Yeah, man. 100%. 100%. A total war on your mind. Somebody had asked you a question, Tone. I had it up here. I'm looking for it now.
About when are we building the third temple?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So he's not far off. I mean, that's another thing,
mm-hmm.
And it's funny because when I was about 18, I came up with this phraseology, because I grew up in the South, and it's, a lot of the evangelicals and, Israel is like, that is the reason we exist. Like, it's just very idol worship stuff that can turn you off from Christianity in general. And this is like 1998. And I remember I came up like in my head, I'm like, this is the end of the world industrial complex. Like I just thought of that because they always just sell Armageddon and sell prophecy, but they make it happen. They literally think, well, we're going to help Israel, blow up the Dome of the Rock, and then we're going to put the third temple, all this stuff, so we can usher in the Antichrist. And I mean, it just bizarre, psycho stuff that these people, like the self-importance that you have to think, you know what God needs? Me. He needs me to help him, usher in, like he's the author of space and time and all things forever, but he needs me.
Right,
and I'm going to help him usher in. And it's just you got to think about the egoism of that. And that's satanic or whatever you want to call it. True darkness, and somebody who believes in this stuff. And if you really dig down, it's funny because so much is being exposed now. The apocalypse is it can be beautiful because it's an unveiling. So you see a lot of things maybe for the first time. And it's a lot of these evangelical preachers like, what is that, a Kenneth Copeland guy who's just a demon, like it's so funny. And he's like, I got a new plane. And it's like that's what's been happening on the surface. It's like Fight Club when he talks about, he's like, underneath the surface, something horrible's been brewing. And I think about that in people, and so much is coming out now. You get to see who these people are, and you get to see who's a person of peace, who's a person of right and wrong, and doing decent things to others, and who is just a reptilian at this point. And there's a I think it's good. You should be thankful for that. A lot of things are becoming more clear, and I find it my mission too. I look at the world a lot differently, and I think over the years this has helped me at least to come to. By the way, just being right isn't helpful. I mean, it's not it's a thankless task most of the time, but a lot of these things are overlapping, and we're converging onto a timeline where, I always said welcome to tomorrow in my shows. Like that was something I borrowed from a Megadeth song. And now we're here. And, I was the audience, like, pay attention to what's happening with the monetary system. This will affect you the most. Like a lot of these other stories, things that we talk about may not, they all affect us all in some way, but the immediate effects, there's massive change happening right now that is not being covered. And I'm doing my best to suss out what's real and what's fake, but that is where we are. All this is being used to distract you in some way. Some of it's important, some of it's not. Yeah. But the noise out there is deafening.
Listen, if they blow up the Dome of the Rock, that's it. I think humanity's over at that point. I don't know if there's anything coming back if we come back from that.
I would agree with you. I would think that if they do that,
right,
the fracturing that will occur, it'll be irreparable. That'll be the new dark age.
Right.
That'll be
I
like the fall of Rome.
Yeah, I think that'll be a really big problem. So let's hope it does not. Right, but Pete Hegseth, he's not above it. He is not above it, and he makes no bones about it either. So,
well, the way he does pull-ups, I would agree. The way he does pull-ups, he might need pull-ups, like the actual type.
He thinks that's leadership. I think he was doing push-ups with the Navy football team, and I'm like, okay, like you just want to prove that you can do some exercises. Like, what are you doing?
What is wrong with him? Like I think you called it back in the days. I thought maybe some of his military background, he'd be more closer to there's something wrong with him.
He's grossly incompetent, Tone. He shouldn't be where he is, and Trump picked him because he sucked up to Trump. It's just it. That's just the way it is. He went on Fox News and he was like, "This guy's nice to me. He says good things about me. Let's bring him in." And that's really what I think. That was
he's no James Forrestal.
I don't even know who that is, but I'm sure you do.
The first Secretary of Defense.
Let's Don, you want thoughts on this before we move on? Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't go to you, so just go ahead if you want to.
No, James Forrestal should not be forgotten. He was, as Tony mentioned, he was the first Secretary of Defense, because up to then, and now one of the most curious things Trump has done.
Secretary of War, Don.
Yeah, Secretary started the Secretary of War thing. I don't understand that. I don't understand how that's a win. I'm sure his people support it, but people in the chat room talked about, we're getting close to Halloween time coming up, to setting the clocks back, right? So daylight saving. Now Trump supposedly eliminated daylight saving times. Am I right? So my guess is
No.
that, like everything else he does, he didn't really do anything,
No, he
and
didn't do
daylight
it.
saving time will happen again, and no one will mention it. And it'll probably be listed amongst his accomplishments by his 8 million accomplishments by no, he didn't. I mean, if he can't eliminate daylight savings times, then no leader can do anything at this point because it's such a tiny thing, and probably 99.9% of the public thinks it's stupid. Yeah, get rid of it. It's dumb. But if he couldn't do that, what does that tell you? So it'd be interesting to see. That's it's not the most important issue in the world, but it does illustrate what's really happening. Is if you can't even get something that really there's no left or right in that. Everybody, I think, thinks it's stupid. Well, okay, then get rid of it, right? Well, we'll see. He supposedly did. Well, see if anybody mentions it. Mr. Trump, what happened to the health?
By the way, he already covered that, Don, and it's been months ago, and they asked him about it. And he said, some people want it, some people don't. It's a 50-50.
I'm a global internationalist. Okay.
And he goes, and then that was it.
Yeah.
It
really was
no brainer. Like it
So
should
we'll be setting the clocks back again. Okay, that's great.
Yo,
well, first of all, I identify as not having to set my clocks. I'm gonna have a different. We should have a different clock made for people. Like this, you could choose your own time. Like I'm identifying that it's 3 p.m.
Yeah, exactly.
damn.
It's time for me to be. I need to get out of here. I know it looks like I've only been here 15 minutes, but I feel I've been here 8 hours. So
I'm about to identify as it's 10 p.m. and go to sleep.
November 5th, 1985, and I got to get back to the DeLorean. I'll see you soon, guys.
Yo, you have a DeLorean?
Yes.
You're holding out on me, Tom. What the hell is going on?
Me and John DeLorean. It's just I got to tell you that story sometime.
All right, please do. All right, we don't have too much time, man. Todd, did we start late? Oh, hold on.
A little bit.
All right,
a little bit.
Right. Here we go. Hold on. Let me show this. This is important. I'm going to play this on my show as well. This is ICE arresting a news reporter.
Put it up again.
Look at the way she looks. Look at the hair. Look at the fair skin. This does not look like an illegal immigrant to me. I could be very wrong, of course, but that looks like an American.
She's from beyond the ice wall.
The other American.
She's kind of white. Really white.
Let's play this.
On the other side of the ice wall. Her and Sasquatch.
Josh Corey would know all about that. What's up, Josh? Josh, come on with us in a few weeks, man. That would be dope to have Josh on the show. He's been on before. It'd be dope to have him on again. Shouts to you, brother. I see you in the chat. All right, let me play this.
Debbie Brockman, I work for WGN. Let them know.
I got you. Yep. Debbie Browning? Brockman, WGN. Do you guys want to share your names too, or just going to cover your face? Oh! What's your name?
Debbie Brockman, I work for WGN. Let them know.
I got you. Yep. Debbie Browning? Brockman, WGN.
On the floor, cuffed like a common criminal. They put her in the back of a van like it's all good. And then they drive off and hit somebody else's car. Just keep going. That is America today. So what we said here on America Unplugged from the beginning, I want to say that we were the first to say this. And I know other people that have bigger audiences, that they have spread it too. So thank you very much to them. But we said this on day one. They're coming after American citizens. We said this on day one. Day fucking one. All right. It should be a wake-up call to people. Nothing is off the table. Sure.
What was the story here though? What is it? Did they try to justify this? What are they claiming? Why they did this? What was this?
We have nothing yet. They just took her. Okay. We don't know a damn thing at this point. What is that lady going to do?
Fake news, maybe. Yeah.
Fake news. God bless that lady. I hope they release her. I think they have to. I mean, well, they don't have to do anything, but I would hope that they would let her go. But the thing is, everybody is guilty until proven innocent now. That's the new state of things here in America. Tony Arterburn, what's up?
No, you're exactly right, and it's alarming, and it's going on, and of course, you start fusing this in with AI and the inability to tell what's real. I mean, we're talking about you crossing a Rubicon, a boundary, and this is coming. For years and years, different groups became partisan because partisanship is where ideas and courage and things go to die. When discernment goes to die in the realm of partisanship. And so whether left or right, or whether you were talking about like the whatever people identify as, they would stand down when certain aspects fit their narrative. So if it was a government overreach, but you're part of my team, no big deal. I stand down. So that's why the ACLU is toothless. It's why groups that are formed to protect the right are almost pretty much useless now because they've been exposed as frauds for not standing up for principle, for free speech, for free assembly, for the First Amendment, for the entire Bill of Rights. They're not doing that because they've been inconsistent. And so now we're in this realm where I think precedents are being set, and you're going to see more of this kind of stuff. And it's absolutely alarming. And people just, get out their phones and scroll through. But hey, if you get on alternative media, you're going to find out that Nicolas Cage was a vampire. That's what you're going to. And the earth is
going to get married. Come on.
Let me put this out there. Let me put this out there before we go to Don. You want to start a conspiracy theory? It started here first, right? I think Pam Bondi has that grade A adrenochrome. She's 60-something years old. She looks like she's in her 30s. Okay. Something's up. We need to know what's going on. She has the adrenochrome. The Trump administration has the adrenochrome, and they're not releasing it to the rest of us. But Pam Bondi,
an adrenochrome deficit in this country. Somebody needs to run on that.
What's
2028 adrenochrome for everybody. There's a chicken in every pot. There's an adrenochrome in every vein.
What's up, Dad? How you doing? Go ahead, buddy.
I think people definitely need to remember that how old she is. It's pretty spooky when you look at that. But again, I think when you see these troubling things, you're going to see more of them. And what I look at is how things have turned, because you've seen right wingers handled this way. Like the people didn't they send in some people to prison for singing religious hymns or praying or something outside an abortion clinic during Biden's administration? I think they did. Yeah. They were doing those kinds of things, and this is the police stuff. I don't know. I assume that was ICE. I don't know who that was, or it was regular police, but it's the tactics they use. They love to rough up women, and we saw that last week when you showed the thing with the woman whose husband had been. They love easy targets. That's why you see regular police. You see constant videos of them throwing people out of wheelchairs, smashing little kids to the sidewalk. Never any videos of them going wild on a Blood or a Crip or Hell's Angel. They're never to be seen there. They never use any force, let alone excessive force on it. It's part of the militarized police thing. Now, for whatever reason, now Trump is, and I'm learning about this stuff from Billy Ray putting it on. It's not, okay, Piper Fogel says Debbie Brockman was throwing objects at officers. That's why she was arrested. Well, that may be true, but I mean, the way she was arrested, but again, that's the way the militarized police. And didn't they do something where recently where what did they do to something where they threw something ridiculous at an officer? Apparently, you throw anything like that now, then you're going to be arrested. And again, for whatever reason, the power has switched over to Trump's side and the right wing. The left is not complaining much. Tony mentioned the ACLU. I keep talking about the ACLU being absent during when the January 6 people were locked up and denied all due process, and their rights were violated for a long time. They didn't say anything about it. So it's odd they're not commenting on this when it's kind of looks like a leftist thing. When the woman whose husband was deported, why didn't they comment on that? They're not commenting on anything. It doesn't look like the left is being very critical of what Trump is doing, which is odd. That doesn't make any sense. They were really critical of him when he was doing nothing. They were posting memes of him being beheaded and saying all kinds of horrible stuff about him when he was just kind of being a doofus and, texting out, tweeting out profifi and indecipherable words and everything you could have made fun of. Now that this stuff is going on, they should be outraged by it. A few are, but not really. I didn't hear anything about this, and that will be the excuse. And again, that's the kind of excuse that you don't hear from people that believe in liberty. That because somebody was throwing objects at the officer, you have to have a sense of perspective. That doesn't give you the right to take a middle-aged woman or whatever she was and slam her to the ground. She was unarmed, but that's so many officers before. How many times have they shot someone because there was a kid that was shot dead because he had a Nintendo controller in his hand? It felt threatened. So it's the same kind of thing that it's spread to ICE, and it's distressing. I certainly hate to see it happen, but what I don't understand is the lack of outrage. I mean, maybe it was Jimmy Kimmel being suspended for a few days. Did that scare all the people that they can't talk about it? I don't understand. If you're going to criticize Trump, there's a lot more to criticize for him now than there ever was before. And I don't see it happening. And I don't understand how the MAGA people can support this. I know Marjorie Taylor Greene and people like that have left the ship. I don't know who's there still. Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
give
I know that's a girl now, her and AOC, yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
like team up, a tag team match,
Hell yeah.
live in person, MTG and AOC. Yeah, it would draw a crowd probably, but it's this theatrical aspect to this. I do worry about the fact that because it's a left-right paradigm, but I don't know why, and it goes back to the election. I'm with Tony. I don't know how Trump won the way he did. And I'm not saying because I don't trust any of it. Anyhow, I don't think they've been counting the votes for a long time. But what's more important is whoever they said that Trump won. And for the left to go gently into that good night like they did, there were no protests. There were nobody out in the streets. I thought you'd have a mass transgender rally and all the stuff there, and people, purple-haired women going crazy and screaming. None of that. None of that. They took it really incredibly. Maybe they've turned into good sports. I don't think so. But now you have this stuff where he really is talking. And what's interesting, I think, is that Trump is turning into the character they always said he was. They kept claiming, oh, he's going to do this. He's going to lock up his people. He's going to lock people. He's going to declare martial law, police state. And I didn't think there was any evidence of him doing that then because he just did nothing. But now it's like he's fulfilling that. He seems to be. So again, that's why I think this is a character thing. It's like a WWE thing. Okay, this is the next act of the play. Now Trump has to go. I hope he doesn't go full police state. Because then we're all in danger. Because who knows what they might. I've written tons of. They might arrest me for coming up with the Trumpenstein project. What did you mean by that? That's that has to be fake news, right? So I don't know. It's very disturbing. All I know is I don't see too much hope. I hate to be so black-pilled, but I don't know what else you can be because there's nobody out there trying to stop this madness.
Well, I totally agree with you with Trump. But to say that the left is not reacting is not true, and I think that this is important because it all. What are we exposed to? Like what sources of media do we gravitate towards, and what are we exposed to? So if you don't go out seeking this stuff, you're probably not going to find it.
But shouldn't we see some of these shouldn't we see some of these George Soros finance Antifa protests in response? I don't see
the thing
that.
Is done, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, but that's largely bullshit, and it can't be proven. But what isn't bullshit is that these people are pushing back on Trump. They're just neutered. They're inept. They're trying, and it's all over the place. But they can't really do much about it.
That is, I think what Don's saying is like there is reactions from the true believers in the left that have always been there. Those people, those voices are still there. I just think they haven't been activated, which is a difference. There's like a mechanism that hasn't been switched on.
But they have been. Look at Tony. Look at Zoran Mamdani, and the attention placed on him nationwide right now because Donald Trump says he's a communist, and the showdown that's going to take place here in New York when Mamdani gets elected and Trump tries to come here, that might set off something. Okay. And this is an active voice that pushes back, along with Bernie Sanders, AOC. These people are actively, like the far left. I don't know how far left we can call these people because there's really far left, right? So we have to like put it in the right category, but they are pushing back. There are people that are actively talking about this. That clip that I played is all over the news. You know, that's nothing new. You just weren't exposed to it for whatever.
Yeah, you're right.
reason.
I would. Yeah.
Right. One more thing before we leave. Off topic. This is very important because I think we've reached a point where, I mean, we always knew this was going to happen, but damn it, man. Now it's this AI is looking so real. We are not going to be able to tell what's real and what's not. And before you could still pick out this AI to a degree, but it's gotten better. Look at this is Tupac at a WCW event. This was a wrestling event. Hold on. Damn it, I need to play it because
no rhyme, no beat, just real. Any of you, any size, any name on that roster, step out that curtain and see me.
Yo, listen to this place. They're on their feet for Pac.
You know what it is. Whole world watching tonight. We taking over. Let's get it.
Y'all hear me? I'm gonna sit right here in this ring till somebody got the heart to step up. I don't care who you bring, what song you play, or how loud you yell. I'm not moving till one of you walks down that ramp.
Listen to this place, the legend from Compton.
Eazy-E walking like he owns the Jordan tonight. He just might. You can feel the attitude pouring off him.
The crowd is. Everybody back here talking like they're the toughest thing walking. I'm standing.
This is really real. Like I think it's gotten progressively better. We could still pull this out, but in a year or so, where are we going to be?
I like the one where Tupac's talking to Mr. Rogers. Have you seen
that one?
Sitting down talking.
Kissinger and Mike. Have you seen Michael Jackson and Hitler?
Yes,
that one is there. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. Michael Jackson I think Michael Jackson might have liked Hitler, to be honest with you. Jackson had a big problem with Jews.
No, it was fantastic. Like I wrestling is pretty bad now, so I don't really watch it that much. But the AI wrestling is fantastic, and they pulled out George Washington versus Abraham Lincoln. George Washington was jacked to the gills. His final move is called the Revolution Slam. I thought it was really dope. And all of these people cut incredible promos. Like there's no room for bad promos. Everything is fantastic. Hitler came out and he fought Gandhi. Gandhi made him tap out. But this stuff looks real, is what I mean. Like Roger Stone is going to do something and he's gonna say it's AI, and he's already done that. But wait till it's like they pull out some video evidence. He's like, yeah, it's AI. It's AI.
Yeah, they can now. That's right. If you saw the South Park thing that I wrote about with Trump, which is the sickest thing I've ever seen,
right,
where they literally went to a close up of his penis. This was not a cartoon. I mean, it was unbelievable. And Donald, the guy they had walking through the desert, was exactly like Donald Trump, and he looked no different at all. It's very scary. I mean, but always be remembered the theatrical aspect of this. I don't know if I told this before, but Tupac Shakur, and I learned a lot through Jason Whitlock. Does a lot of real, just like Candace Cameron, probably the two best investigative journalists around today happen to both be black. But he, for whatever reason, he studied Tupac. He unearthed a video of Tupac that no one's seen when he was either a senior in high school or just coming out. This guy in real life was very effeminate. Probably gay. You can't see it to believe it. He's very soft-spoken and effeminate. He went by whatever his real name was or whatever. And Whitlock was showing that this was before they installed him and made him this character, which was not him at all. And so if you see that original, and that's why when you showed that, I thought, oh, he was a hell of an actor. Because if you see the original guy, he was like, I don't know who to even compare him to, Richard Simmons or something. He was so effeminate and feminine, and they managed to turn that guy into the thug life. So I think they can do anything they want, and now that they have AI, they didn't have AI then. Now that they have AI, it's scary. They can frame any of us, but on the other hand, we can all use that as a defense too. That's AI, and that's what Trump would do. You're right. Yeah.
This is perfect. I'm going to turn it over to Tony, and then we're getting out of here. But this was a perfect example, the Tupac example of the anatomy of a conspiracy theory. There's one clip of Tupac when he was like 17.
Yep.
Acting a little bit, I don't know, it's just doing some hand gestures, and all of a sudden he's gay. There's zero proof that the guy is gay. Zero proof. There are tons of women that slept with Pac. All his friends were like, there was nothing but, he had nothing but women around him. So we have no real evidence besides people like Jason Whitlock talking nonsense, which is all that Jason Whitlock really does. He's good for nothing. He talks so much
He
disproval.
showed a pretty long clip,
unproven
though.
crap,
He talked
right?
a
So
lot, you know.
there's nothing. There's no proof that Tupac was gay, but everybody in the alt media thinks he was gay because of one clip and people talking nonsense about
Well,
it.
I don't know about gay, but he certainly didn't look like any tough guy. That's all I'm saying. His persona
Look
was
at him now.
completely different.
He's calling a Bad Bunny a cross dresser, a transvestite. Like I'm
He
like,
does, yeah.
how come we can't just watch the stupid Super Bowl show without having an issue? Like how come? Like what's the big deal about this? I don't understand it, but it is what it is. Jason Whitlock is part of the problem. Candace Owens is part of the problem. Alex Jones is part of the problem. Tucker Carlson, although sometimes he shows flashes of brilliance, I think he's part of the problem. These people are actively flooding the zone with shit. And
Raymond Kendall Von Knopp says that he brought it up with Jasmine Crockett, the exact same thing. Have you seen her talk? She's very well educated.
Yeah.
She is not what she pretends to be some ghetto girl. She's not.
Called code switching. Code switching.
Yeah,
I don't speak to my grandma the way I speak to my boy. I'm from the Bronx.
Yeah.
We speak in a particular way. You got to go, Tony?
I gotta open the shop. Yeah, I got customers.
Tell the people what's up real quick. And then leave.
Arterburn.gold. See you next week. Arterburn Radio.
We got you, Tony. Thank you, buddy.
Sorry, Tony. I didn't mean to. Sorry, I rambled too much there.
It's not your fault. No, we were both rambling, and we're coming close on an hour now, so that's why he had to go. So we should get out of here because I got to go too.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm no fan of Jason Whitlock. That's the thing, Don. As you know, this is nothing new to you, sir. Right. Yeah. Tell the people where they can find you. Don't forget to tell people about tonight if you're doing the show with RB Ham.
I don't think I actually am tonight. I don't think I would watch it anyhow. I think he's got tinfoil hat lady who I've been on there for with. But it's Beyond the Pale on his Rumble channel. Not tonight. I'm not going to be. I'm on there a lot, but yeah. So you can still catch him. He does great work, and he's given a lot to the cause. What
did you think of Jackson Dart this weekend? He freaking killed it. I love that kid.
I was going to say, I'm pretty proud of myself. I have a rookie draft every year. It's just rookies. My top 3 picks in the rookie draft: Cam Scatterbo, Jackson Dart, and Bill Krosky-Merritt, the Commanders running back.
Wow.
Top 3 picks. I said, wow. I mean, I probably have the best 2 rookie running backs and maybe the best rookie quarterback. I don't know.
Here's my.
But of course, I didn't start either one of them the other day, and I said, because I thought the Eagles would stop him.
Scatterbo's a monster, Don. Oh my gosh! And I picked in my second year dynasty league. Now this is the first time I've been involved in a dynasty league. My first pick was Ashton Gentry, who's killing now.
Yeah,
he's killing now.
Yeah.
And in the second round, I took Jackson Dart. In the third round, I took the quarterback from New Orleans. He's not playing yet, but he will.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not playing. He should. Yeah,
but that's why I took in the third round. So we both had fairly successful drafts. I'm doing okay. Last year I was in last place. Right now I'm competitive, but I've had some injuries, so it is what it is. Don, tell the people where they can find you, sir.
Substack's the only place not being shadow banned. Donald Jeffries at Substack.com. It's I Protest, just like my podcast, and all my books are out there, and all 10 books are out there, so you can find out anything you want about me out there by searching.
Fantastic, sir. My name is Billy Ray Valentine. Check me later on today with Wheezy. I'll be on there at 5 p.m. Eastern. And tomorrow night, the Gorilla Underground, 7 p.m. Eastern on Tony. I'm not sure if I'll go live on Tony's X. Anybody that's watching right now. If I do, it'll be maybe the last time. I think I'm just going to go live on my X from here on in. So I'll be on my X and on Ground Zero Plus, if you so choose to go listen over there. And maybe I'll open up my YouTube channel this time. If I don't do it this time, I might do it next week. I'm not sure. So we'll figure it out. We'll see what's up. Anyway, that's it. No music because Tony's gone and I don't feel like playing anything. Everybody have an excellent, excellent weekend. Don, love you. You did great work. Talk to you soon. Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Take care, man. See y'all later.